We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Infinite Gary. Gary's leaning towards self-powered speakers. Dude, this guy buys so much stuff. It's amazing. Gary's leaning towards self-powered speakers for his tabletop setup. This is the one with the... I don't remember.
Keyboard.
Keyboard, that's right.
CD player.
He has a CD player with a headphone output and volume control, so he has the option to connect that directly to the self-powered speakers and nothing else in the signal chain. However, he's also been using his Parasound P3 analog preamplifier. Clearly, he wouldn't need an external amp if he's using self-powered speakers. But it would be better or worse to keep the P3 in the signal chain. Also, the P3 has direct XLR plugs and line-out XLR and RCA plugs. Which output should you use for the self-powered speakers? What self-powered speakers does he have? He does not have any. He's thinking about getting some.
He's thinking about some Dynaudios. We suggested the KEF LS50 self-powered model.
Did I suggest that?
No, that was Lee and myself.
Oh, okay. I was like very confused there for a second. I'm like, it sounds like a great,
you missed
suggestion.
that week.
Yeah, you can leave this Parasound in. I don't think it'll be worse or better. I mean, it's just what it is. I don't know.
I mean, I probably would, because the CD player, of course, it has regular line outs.
Yeah.
Which you would need to use with the P3 because the P3 can't take any digital signals, only
Right.
takes analog. But it's putting all of it into the headphone output. Like, most headphone outputs built into CD players, a little bit noisy. I mean, maybe yours isn't. Maybe yours is fantastic. I don't know. Could be. But the only way you're going to have volume control on the CD player is via the headphone output, not via the line outs.
Yeah, I would go with line outs.
I would go with the line outs, and then that's also the same answer for your P3. I know it has these other XLR plugs, but those are actually inputs. The one that says direct is an input. The one that says line out is a line out. So you must use the line out to connect to your self-powered speakers.
Right. And there's you have RCA or XLR, so it depends on what your speakers
That's right.
have.
You're all set up for either or. So yeah, I would keep the P3 in the signal chain. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Gary had his Runco projector recalibrated about 6 weeks ago. He's given himself time to get used to the new image, but compared to his original calibration, he's come to the conclusion that he thinks his new calibration looks undersaturated. Okay.
I'm going to get into that in a bit, that specific word.
It gives him the feeling that he wants to boost the color to get it back the way it looked before. Your calibrator must love you. Two different professional calibrators who use two different meters. Is it possible that different meters give different readings that led to the two pro calibrators to different settings? And since Gary doesn't have any test equipment of his own, other than his eyes, how can he determine for himself if his color is spot on or maybe a little undersaturated?
Well, on that second part, you can't.
I was going to say that's not possible.
You have to have.
You have to.
A light meter.
It's.
So I want to talk about this saturated word because I mean I get what he means.
Yeah,
but saturated has a very specific meaning when it comes to calibrating a display.
It just looks a little dim to him. Isn't that what he's saying? It looks a little dark, maybe, or
I think it looks less vibrant.
Yes.
Right, which is not a technical word. That is a subjective word.
Right.
So I want to let people know saturated has a very specific meaning because when you're looking at a display, it has a color space to which it is supposed to be adhering. If you're watching HD TV, it is the Rec 709 color space. If you're watching Ultra HD, it is the Rec 2020 color space. But those color spaces define very specific shades of red, green, and blue. Those are the primary colors, and they describe extremely specific shades. Now, undersaturated specifically means that you are closer to the... So what you end up with is a triangular-looking graph.
Yeah, it's got kind of a weird sail-looking design.
But you more or less have a triangle shape of a graph. And undersaturated means that when you measure those primary colors, if they're undersaturated, they're closer to the center of the triangle than the points, the edges, the points of the triangle where they should be.
So they have less of the colors, essentially.
They're closer to being white, a little bit closer to being white than the actual color where they should be. They could also be oversaturated, meaning they're farther out. They're outside of the triangle where they're supposed to be. Perfectly saturated color means they're exactly on the corners of the triangle that those color spaces define. So it's a very specific word, saturated, when it comes to calibrating a display. Now, when you say something looks undersaturated, you typically mean that the color looks it looks less vibrant than you're expecting.
Reds aren't quite as red as usually.
So it might be the right shade, but not as bright. And I think that's actually what's going on. Because I'll bet he's had this projector for a while. It is an LED-based projector, but those do still dim a bit over time.
They just had it calibrated, so...
He just had it calibrated. He even sent me the files, and all the delta errors were under 1.
Jeez.
So... that's why he's like, well, could it be the meter, or could the meter have given him a false reading? I mean...
Could, but...
I'll bet you your colors are perfectly saturated. I bet they look less vibrant because your projector isn't as bright as before.
Yeah. So
that's my guess.
Okay. Gary. Usually, I don't know about his Runco, but I have never met a projector that could be calibrated that you couldn't save the calibration in some way. So there's, even on my Epsons and the Optimas and stuff that I've used, they've always had like user 1, user 2, user 3. Just save it as if they haven't already saved it, which they probably have, save it as user 1, and then, save it again as user 2. And then go into the user 2 one and play.
Right. Yeah, even if they didn't save your old one, copy all the settings from whatever you're using now.
Yes.
Copy that into a different settings menu, a different picture menu. And then
change the brightness a little bit. Bump it up once or twice. Yeah. It won't kill anything. You won't hurt anything. No. Don't overwrite the original file. Don't overwrite your original settings. That's where we get into trouble, because then your calibrator comes out and says, it was fine, and then you changed it, and now you're saying that something's wrong with it. Well, of course something's wrong with it. You changed it. Let me change it back. There is not. I just want to make sure this is very clear, Gary. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you saying, I know you say it's perfect. I want it different. I don't like it as undersaturated. And the guy is going to know, what do you mean? This should be a little bit redder, or it should be a little bit brighter, it should be a little bit a little more vibrant. And they'll be able to translate that into a setting that you'll be happy with. So, yes, you've lived with it for a while. You're fine. I would suggest you just play with it yourself, because you like to do this stuff anyways. You might as well save it again. Heck, save it in every single one of those save spots that you have an option of saving it. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then because I think that Epson I've got has got something like 10 or 11 spots.
Yeah.
Just save it as original or something like that, and then you can say brightness, contrast, blah, 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 blah. And these are all the things you're going to play with. But you're only going to play with it on the one that you've got until you get it exactly what you want. And then live with that. So that's what I would do. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.